The cameras flashed. The crowd froze. A 14-year-old girl stands on the doorstep of a Beverly Hills mansion holding a handwritten letter. But the door remains locked. And just like that, well, Hollywood had a new obsession. The Beckham family feud just took another dramatic turn.
Welcome to Starscope Report. Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and, viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
Today's deep dive unpacks this massive stack of sources. We're talking Vanity Fair, Vogue, Insider TMZ reports, and those incredibly detailed YouTube breakdowns. We are mapping out the spectacular fallout between David and Victoria Beckham, their eldest son, Brooklyn, and his billionaire heiress wife, Nicola Peltz.
Right, and our mission today is to really cut through the noise. We are looking past the gossip to examine the actual mechanics of this feud, exploring how a $3 million wedding totally fractured a family and sparked a cross-continental brand war.
So we have to start with the digital match that lit this entire powder keg, right? Brooklyn Beckham recently broke his silence with an 800-word, 6-slide Instagram statement.
Yeah, which effectively confirmed what the tabloids have been whispering about since April 2022. 800 words on Instagram isn't just a post, it is a manifesto.
Oh, absolutely a manifesto. And it all traces back to the sheer logistical nightmare of their wedding at the Peltz family's oceanfront estate in Palm Beach. The lead up to that day was reportedly just pure chaos.
It really was. If you look at the sources, 3 different wedding planners either quit or were fired during the process, and that includes Preston Bailey.
Wait, Preston Bailey? The guy who orchestrates those insane, high-profile celebrity events?
Exactly, the very same. And when planners at that elite tier step away, it rarely has to do with picking the wrong floral arrangements.
Right.
It usually points to structural chaos, like competing directives, impossible NDA requirements, or 2 highly powerful families basically refusing to compromise on the event's narrative. We saw this immediately with the infamous dress drama.
Oh, the dress drama. The rumor mill initially claimed Victoria Beckham was supposed to design Nicola's wedding dress, but pulled out at the absolute last second, leaving Nicola scrambling to fly to Rome for a Valentino gown.
Right, which painted this picture of a bride completely left in the lurch by her future mother-in-law.
Exactly.
But, if we look at the actual mechanics of high fashion, that timeline simply doesn't hold up. Vogue covered the wedding extensively, and they reported that Nicola's custom Valentino dress was the culmination of an entire year's worth of conversations.
A whole year, so it definitely wasn't a last-minute scramble.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It involved 2 trips to Rome and multiple fittings in the U.S. A couture gown of that magnitude requires muslin mock-ups, hand-stitching, and an entire atelier's dedication. You just cannot scramble and produce a custom Valentino bridal look at the 11th hour.
So the narrative of being stranded without a dress is probably more of a convenient PR angle than reality. But, even that fades into the background when you look at the reception. Imagine you're standing in the middle of a $3 million wedding. It's 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
The reception is in full swing. There is a massive circular stage that revolves 180 degrees. Mark Anthony steps out to perform a live set.
And this was supposed to be a romantic first dance for the bride and groom.
Supposed to be, yeah. But instead, Mark Anthony looks out at the crowd, asks for the most beautiful woman in the room to come to the stage, and calls up Victoria Beckham.
Wow. Which immediately shifts the entire gravitational pull of the room away from the bride and squarely onto the mother of the groom.
It is wild. Brooklyn wrote that his mother was waiting to dance with him instead of his bride, and that she danced very inappropriately on him in front of all 500 guests. He described it as the most uncomfortable and humiliating moment of his entire life.
And Nicola allegedly ran out of the room in tears.
Right. Crying her eyes out.
It is a devastating image, for sure. But to truly understand what happened, we need to look at the accounts from the people actually working the event. The wedding DJ and the butler provided a very different context.
Really? What did they say?
They pointed out that this happened very late in the evening, long after the formal, scheduled first dances were over. Mark Anthony is a longtime close friend of the Beckhams.
Aha, okay.
So the DJ described this as just a spur-of-the-moment Latin dance, noting that the Beckhams are a very tactile, expressive, dancey family.
Okay, so wait, are we looking at a malicious, calculated plot by a mother-in-law to hijack the spotlight, or is this just a massive cultural miscommunication? Because the Peltz family is incredibly formal and reserved, whereas the Beckhams operate almost entirely on public charisma.
Exactly. It's entirely possible it was just a cultural clash. But, the tension wasn't one-sided. Brooklyn also claimed in his statement that his mother called him evil because of the seating chart.
Oh, the seating chart.
Yeah, he and Nicola chose to seat their childhood nannies at the main family head table, which displaced David and Victoria.
Okay, displacing the groom's parents from the head table to seat the nannies isn't just a quirky seating arrangement. That is a deliberate statement. It feels less like two families coming together and more like a corporate merger where neither board of directors wants to relinquish their voting rights.
That is the perfect way to look at it. This isn't just a family dispute. It's a clash of two massive corporate entities. You have to understand the machinery of Brand Beckham.
Right, the empire.
Yeah, for 25 years, David and Victoria have built a billion-dollar empire, heavily reliant on a unified, impenetrable family aesthetic. The children are extensions of that primary brand.
But when Nicola enters the picture,
Right, backed by immense billionaire wealth, she doesn't want to be a subsidiary in the Beckham portfolio. She operates as a competing entity.
and Brooklyn feels caught in the middle. In his statement, he explicitly claims he was pressured to sign away the rights to his own name just weeks before the wedding, arguing that his parents prioritized PR and the family facade over genuine connection.
Which totally sets the stage for the physical isolation that follows. After the wedding, Brooklyn and Nicola essentially sever ties. They unfollow siblings, they skip David's 50th birthday, they skip Victoria's 50th.
But wait till you hear how Brooklyn's 14-year-old sister got dragged into the crossfire, because that emotional freeze-out is what leads directly to the doorstep delivery we talked about at the start of the show. If you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead in this deep dive.
So the isolation strategy forces a confrontation, and it plays out in the most public way possible. David Beckham receives his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, which is a massive legacy moment for the family.
Huge.
Right after the ceremony, 14-year-old Harper Beckham travels to Brooklyn's Los Angeles mansion to hand-deliver a letter.
Still wearing the pink outfit from the ceremony. She walks up to the door, letter in hand, but the door is locked. Brooklyn and Nicola aren't even in California. They are in New York City. And yet, photographers just happen to be perfectly positioned outside this quiet residential home to capture Harper standing there looking locked out.
We really have to pull back the curtain on how celebrity paparazzi actually operate here. Because photographers do not just aimlessly loiter in quiet Los Angeles neighborhoods hoping a teenager shows up.
No, of course not.
The paparazzi economy is driven by back-channeling. Publicists or security teams will literally drop a GPS pin to trusted photographers, tipping them off to a location and a time frame. Someone had to alert the cameras that Harper was going to be at that door.
And Brooklyn's camp immediately weaponized that reality. His rep released a brutal statement to the press, stating that the presence of photographers proved the entire visit was choreographed for the cameras. They basically accused David and Victoria of using their teenage daughter as a prop for a sympathy photo op.
Which is incredibly harsh. The Beckham camp was reportedly gutted, calling it complete nonsense. They pointed out that their children have always traveled with a security detail, so Harper making a solo trip with staff wasn't unusual at all.
And the paparazzi often tail their security vehicles anyway.
Okay.
But the damage was done, and this public accusation sets off a chain reaction online. Shortly after the doorstep incident, Nicola retaliates. Her older brother recently got married, and Nicola posts a glowing tribute to the newlyweds on Instagram. She thanks her brother for finally giving her the dream sister.
And this is where we see the sophisticated SEO of celebrity shade.
Oh, I love that term.
Because in 2024, Nicola gave a highly publicized interview where she was asked about Harper Beckham. Her exact response was, "If I could create the perfect dream little sister, it's her."
Wow.
Fast forward to the doorstep drama, and she recycles that specific, distinct phrasing to praise her new sister-in-law.
Hold on, though. Is it possible we are reading too much into this? Like, maybe she just really likes the word dream when describing people she cares about. It could just be a limited vocabulary.
I mean, in the everyday world, yes. But in the hyper-curated ecosystem of celebrity social media, coincidences like that are virtually non-existent. Nicola has grown up under intense public scrutiny. She understands the algorithm of attention.
That makes sense.
Recycling a highly documented compliment and transferring it to someone else is a classic, calculated maneuver to signal a shift in allegiance. It tells the public and the Beckhams exactly where she stands without ever having to name them.
It is incredibly clinical, and it highlights such a massive contradiction. Brooklyn and Nicola ended their 800-word manifesto with a plea for privacy and peace. Yet they are actively fueling a public tit-for-tat PR war, You can't issue statements to Page Six through your reps and drop coded insults on Instagram and then turn around and ask the public to respect your privacy.
Right. It's the ultimate paradox of modern fame. They are demanding privacy while simultaneously utilizing the press to wage a proxy war against their own family. But this digital sniping doesn't just stay online.
No, it doesn't.
Because the emotional and social media freeze-out quickly escalates into a very real geographic turf war over business.
And that brings us to Miami and a fast food commercial that apparently pushed the Beckhams over the edge. Later in the deep dive, we'll talk about how this all blew up. To understand how a family feud morphs into a brand war, we really have to look at the struggle for relevancy.
Definitely.
Because beyond all the drama, Brooklyn and Nicola have had a very difficult time finding their footing as independent creators.
They really have. Their individual career trajectories have been heavily scrutinized. For example, Brooklyn dropped out of his photography degree at Parsons. He published a photography book that was widely panned. One of the most infamous pages featured a blurry, out-of-focus elephant with a caption explaining how difficult it is to photograph elephants.
Which is just astonishing to get past a publishing house. Like, how does that happen?
Right. And from there, he pivoted to culinary content. He launched an online cooking show, and industry reports revealed it cost roughly $100,000 an episode to produce.
$100,000 an episode?
Yes. He had a crew of 62 professionals, lighting technicians, culinary producers, food stylists, essentially manufacturing the illusion of him casually making a basic breakfast egg sandwich in his kitchen.
$100,000 in overhead just to assemble an egg sandwich. That is wild. And Nicola has faced very similar hurdles, hasn't she?
She has. She recently wrote, directed, and starred in an independent film called Lola. They threw a massive premiere. Elon Musk was there, Selena Gomez was there, generating huge social media buzz.
But how did it actually do?
When the movie hit theaters, it grossed just $648 at the box office.
Oh, wow. $600. So you have two individuals in a high-profile marriage who are both struggling to generate organic, independent success. When standalone projects fail to resonate with the public, their combined identity becomes their most valuable and really their only reliable asset.
Exactly. Which perfectly explains why Brooklyn changed his name when they got married. He legally became Brooklyn Peltz Beckham. At the time, opinion columns were debating if this was some progressive statement about modern marriage.
But looking at the business mechanics, it seems like a highly strategic move to physically attach his brand to the immense financial power and social capital of his billionaire father-in-law.
It is entirely financial alignment. But that pivot caused a massive collision when Victoria Beckham announced she was expanding her fashion and beauty empire into Miami.
Miami.
Yeah, Miami is a very specific battleground. It is essentially the Peltz family stronghold. They have deep established roots in Florida's high society and fashion circles. But simultaneously, David Beckham has built a massive legacy and business presence there with his soccer team, Inter Miami.
So both families basically view Miami as their territory. But Brooklyn reportedly viewed his mother's retail expansion not as a business move, but as an act of war. Sources claimed he went ballistic, seeing Victoria's arrival as an aggressive encroachment on the life he and Nicola were building.
Right. He allegedly used family back channels to send a message telling his parents to back off and stay out of their territory.
It transforms from a family disagreement into a straight-up territorial dispute over market share. And as the tension in Miami hit a boiling point, Brooklyn made a move that was purely commercial, basically weaponizing the feud itself.
The commercial, yes.
During the World Cup, he released a commercial for DoorDash. The ad features him tossing a ticket onto his coffee table, looking directly into the camera and saying, "You're probably wondering why I'm watching the FIFA World Cup from home. It's a long story."
That's just brutal. David Beckham is a global football icon. His entire identity is tied to the World Cup.
Right. To see your son actively cashing in on your very real, very painful estrangement to sell fast food delivery, it crosses a line from personal pain to commercial exploitation.
It reveals the deepest irony of this entire situation. Brooklyn's primary grievance, the core thesis of his 800-word statement, is that his parents put Brand Beckham above all else. He claims they prioritize public relations and optics over genuine family love.
Yeah.
But when his photography fails to sell and his cooking show struggles to find an audience, what is his immediate move? He uses the drama of Brand Beckham to sell his own content. He is utilizing the exact PR machinery he claims oppressed him.
But I wonder if that is just a symptom of the environment we all live in now. Think about your own social media feed. The attention economy incentivizes everyone to turn their personal drama into public content. Aren't Brooklyn and Nicola just doing what the internet trains us to do, but at a multi-million-dollar scale?
That's a fair point.
If his parents are as controlling as he claims, maybe monetizing the feud is his only way to break free and reclaim his narrative. Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next on our radar, because the mechanics of celebrity are constantly evolving.
Well, it's an interesting perspective on reclaiming the narrative, sure. But true independence requires building something separate from the legacy you're trying to escape. By starring in a commercial that relies entirely on the audience understanding his fight with his famous father, he isn't stepping out of the shadow. He's just charging admission to stand in it.
Wow. Charging admission to stand in the shadow. That perfectly encapsulates this entire deep dive. I mean, you picture that 14-year-old girl standing on that Beverly Hills doorstep holding that letter. It was supposed to be a private, human moment between siblings, but it is instantly swallowed up by the machinery. Paparazzi grids, publicist statements, and retaliatory Instagram captions.
The human element is completely eclipsed by brand management. When families operate as corporations, every personal interaction becomes a potential press release.
Which leaves us with a lingering, almost uncomfortable question. If this feud continues to escalate, what is the actual endgame for Brooklyn and Nicola? They clearly want to be respected as independent creators, artists, and chefs. But their biggest asset, and truly their only reliable source of public attention right now, is the very Beckham name they are trying so hard to distance themselves from. If you strip away the family drama, the wedding chaos, and the doorstep deliveries, well, what is actually left to keep the cameras flashing?
That is the real question.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.